So in this lesson, we're going to start with some groundwork. This is Dusty. Dusty is in for training, and she is getting started under saddle. Well, she's had a little bit of a start, but she has not been finished or had a thorough start. So Dusty tends to be a little bit more nervous, sensitive. So if you just walk straight up to her and try to halter her, she tends to want to escape. So, girl, I'm going to approach her how she lets me. If she wants me to approach her from the side, I'll kind of do that, but she kind of boxes me out. So I just approach her where she lets me. Give her a second. Oh, you itchy. You're all wet. Good girl. Good girl. So having her follow me around a little bit just helps her get a little more relaxed with me. Good girl. You got a dread starting in your mane. Yeah, we're going to have to get that out. Good girl. So I walked away right there because she was starting to pull back a little bit from me. Good girl. No, I don't have treats. Good girl. So you can see my halter is over my arm. I knew she wasn't going to be ready for me to halter her right from the start, so I got my halter and lead rope ready, but they're both in the same spot on my arm. So when I'm ready to halter her, the first thing is I'm just going to make sure she's going to be paying attention. So there's something over there in the trees that has her interest. Thank you. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Tipsy. Good girl. So I'm really not looking for her to move off and away from me, but I am trying to get her attention. Good girl. And because I was trying to put my hand on her nose and guide her attention back and she wasn't, good girl. I needed something with a little bit more energy. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Good. 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 And could have I already gotten a halter on her? Yes. But we are looking for her to be engaged and connected in everything we're doing. So if I slap a halter on her, and she's not engaged and connected, then I'm encouraging that. Good. And encouraging her to ignore me. And that also is oftentimes where bracing starts. Coco, hush. Coco. Good girl. Good girl. And so I want her good girl to be focused on me. Good girl. Be aware of what we're doing and be more relaxed about it. And again, it does not have to be perfect. Good girl. But we need to be moving in the right direction. Good girl. So I'm going to make sure my halter is ready for whenever she's ready. Good girl. Got a little bit of a release there. And you can see how I'm backing into her a little bit here instead of facing forward. Putting my back to her just has lower pressure, lower energy, so she can feel relaxed a little bit quicker. And also, it puts me in the position that I need to be for haltering her without having to rotate my body a whole lot. And I can be aware of what she's aware of. Good girl. Good girl. And she's one that very much feels like she needs to take care of herself. So my goal is for her to start realizing that she can let me take care of her some too. But I have to earn that. Can't just expect her to be okay with it. I have to make her feel comfortable. Good girl. Good. So I'm going to pet her. And again, I'm not in a hurry to halter her. Good girl. And as this goes, I would really like for her to be a little bit more softer, putting her head down instead of sticking her nose out. But that wasn't bad. Good girl. So now that I have the halter on her, I'm not going to change how I approach her. I'm not going to be pulling on the rope. I'm going to still use energy to catch her attention. You don't put the halter and lead rope on a horse and go, ha, gotcha, and start pulling them around. Good. Very nice. It's very nice. Good girl. Good. 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 You can see my approach is still the same. Even though I've got the halter and lead rope on her now, I still approach petting her and moving around her just like I did before I put the halter on. I'm not holding the rope tight. She can move. She can do whatever she wants. Good. 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 Good girl. Good. Good. I'm going to come to this side. She'll let me. Good girl. When she moves away, I'm not going to keep pushing. Good. And the goal is for her to be able to relax a little with this. She's kind of clenching her jaw right now. I can keep seeing the muscles in her jaw working, but she's not releasing tension, she's clenching. So she's still pretty tense right here. Good. So she kind of cocked her head towards me just a tiny bit. So I'm going to back off for a second. Good. Because I want to good. I want to reward any try to connect with me just a little bit more. And she's sitting here holding her breath, waiting for me to demand something of her. And that's part of where this tension comes from. She doesn't know what I'm going to ask her. And she has had a bad experience with a pushy person. Good. Good. Good girl. So there you can see she kind of boxed me out from that right side a little bit. And that's fine. She didn't want me over there for a second. Good girl. Good girl. I'm not pulling on her. I'm not forcing her to let me be on this side. I am rewarding her when she's good, connecting and engaging with me. Good. And I always start with having a horse follow me around before I do any work where I'm driving them. Because when you start driving them, you're pushing them away from you. And if you don't have enough draw where the horse will follow you and lead with you, then you make them more nervous of you. And a horse as sensitive as Dusty, that's particularly important. Good girl. Good girl. There. Yeah, a little sigh. Good. Good. And I'm just going to start petting her. Oh, there you go. That was nice. Nice looking chew. Again, I'm not restricting her movement. Oh, does that feel good? You like your butt being scratched? Yeah. Good girl. So when she starts fixating on other stuff, I just check in to see if I can bring her attention back, and just doing a little cluck, she keeps flicking her ear back to me. And that's what I want to see is right now she's not going to be able to relax but so much. And I don't expect her to not pay attention to what's going on around her. I just want to see if I can get her attention when I ask for it. So, a little cluck. There you go. Got some ears. Got an ear again. Good girl. That's really all I'm looking for. Yeah, there you go. She actually turned her head that time. Good. I have a couple releases. And this is where I always start with a horse, especially one that's a little bit nervous, a little bit tense. Good girl. Good girl. And you can see I'm not pulling on her face to get her attention. Good girl. I'm just creating some energy. Good girl. Good girl. So she can hear dogs howling in the distance, and that keeps catching her attention. Good. Good. And this just goes back to she feels like she needs to protect herself. Good. Good. So she's going to be hyper aware of everything going on around her. You got a nice knot here. I might need some cowboy magic for that. It's all twisted up. You got a little dread in the rain last night. Hi, Coco. You're not sure about Coco? Come on. Good girl. Good. So I absolutely start leading with just creating energy, catching her attention, and asking her to follow that energy. Coco, go on. Come on. Good. Back. Back. Good. And one of the things that you should take note is Coco. Go out. Go on. Leave her alone. Go on. One of the things that you should take note is when I am asking her to stop and back, where does her head go? So as we're walking forward, she's nice and got a nice low headset. She keeps touching my hand, which is fine. She's not trying to nip me or anything. So when she stopped there, she raised her head ever so slightly. When she backs, she raises her head more. That is tension. Whether it's mental, physical, whatever, it's tension. So as we go, I would really like to see her start stopping with the same headset and start taking those steps back. So what I'm going to start introducing, I don't have any cookies. What I'm going to start introducing is just asking her real lightly. There's not a lot of pressure on this rope. I'm just going to start asking her to put her head down. There you go. And every time she just has a softening, I'm going to let go. Even if she puts her head up and then puts it back down a little bit, just any time it's down, goes downward, I'm going to let go. And then I'll move her forward a little bit, let her have a release. And then ask again. Good. And this is just real light. I'm not pulling on her. It's just contact. Good. Good. The harder that you are on the horse, the more you pull on them, the more they're going to start pulling back. So when you're softening, asking them to soften, you have to start with just being soft yourself and pick up a little contact, but it's not pulling, it's just contact. Good. And I did start this a little bit the other day with her. Yesterday, actually. Good. Good. So she's starting to understand the concept a little bit better. Good. Very nice. So then we're going to walk forward again. And we're going to walk around. And then we're going to stop. And this time, I'm going to ask her to back up. I'm just first going to ask her to bring her head down slightly. And she's licking me, and that's okay. Like, I don't really care. I'm just going to wait for her to soften. You can see I'm kind of facing her now, so that's going to create more energy directed towards her. So she might get a little bit more tense, which is fine. I'm not going to pull any harder on the rope. I'm just going to keep everything else the same. Good. Just ask her to bring her head down. Good. And again, we're not looking for perfect, we're looking for better. Very nice. Now that she's got her head down, I'm going to ask her. Good. And she put her head up, and that's okay. We're not looking for perfect. We're starting to introduce a concept. It's going to be messy first. The goal is for her to be able to stop and back without having a higher headset. So when she stops, she puts it up automatically. I'm just going to ask her to reach down. Good. Good. Nope, that's okay. If she braces in her body and throws her head back up, I just go right back to asking her to put her head down. And I don't know if you can see based off where the camera is, but her posture is really funky. She's got that hind left leg parked out really far. There's barely any weight on the hind right, and she's pushing backwards on her front feet. And her toes are kind of long. They really need to be trimmed up, which might be part of the reason she holds herself the way she does, but it aids bad posture, let's put it that way. But she's got a lot of physical tension in her body too, as well as a lot of mental concern. Good girl. And again, I'm not pulling on her. I'm just creating some contact and some energy. Good. Now, it's okay. It's okay. Put your head down. Good. And it won't be perfect. Good. Good. That's okay. And this matters because this is bracing. Whether it's mental bracing, physical bracing, both. When a horse is doing this, this is bracing. And that transfers to the next step that you do. So at the next step where for me to go saddle her, she might be fine. Well, she might be deal with me putting the saddle on. But somewhere along the line, that tension is going to come out. It might come out with the saddling. I might go to put a saddle on her, and she explodes and takes off bucking. Or she might not do that, and she might just stay frozen and really tense. And then I go and get on her, and she might stand still when I get on her, and she might be frozen and tense when I go to get on her. And then I go to ask her to walk off, and that might be where she explodes. Good. But it's going to come out somewhere. And like with Annie, I don't necessarily make everything perfect before I start introducing something different. She's not going to be perfect at carrying herself correctly and softening before I go to the next step of groundwork. But I really want this to be good before I sit on her. Good. She needs to understand this concept before I go on to something else. But it doesn't have to be perfect. But she will carry that tension over into the next thing. So I'm not going to put myself in a precarious position, like climbing on them, until this tension has gone away. Good. And you can see when I reach for her, she puts her head up. Oh, yeah. Are you itchy there? Good. Good to find an itchy spot. Good. So I want her to start unlocking. Good. And being able to move her body without bracing. And some horses you need to start here because they're so unsure of what you might be asking of them, and you have to build up a rapport. And it's not going to be too difficult, that you're not going to stress them out. Good girl. That they'll be able to understand and relax. Good. Good. Can you put your head down? And then as they start relaxing, you start introducing new topics. Good. So in the first lesson, I had gone through all of this stuff with Annie. And so we were able to do a lot more stuff with Annie, and Annie's sticky spot was the actual saddle. With Dusty, Dusty is not ready for tack. Dusty's not ready for a lot of the stuff that Annie is. And Annie's been here longer. Good girl. Oh, good girl. So this is stuff that we had gone through with Annie before we got to the tacking. Good. Good. So encourage her head to come down. It's not going to be perfect. And I want to see if we can get a step back without her throwing her head up. And you might notice when I start asking her to take that step back, one of the things that I do is kind of put my hand right here on her chest. And it's making her put her head up whenever I touch her right now. Good girl. But she'll get used to that and get used to my touch and not be so fearful of it. Good. But instead of pulling on her to back her up, I want to ask her to step back with my hand, because I don't want to create any more tension and bracing in her head and neck and body by pulling on the rope. I want her to learn how to be softening and being responsive to that. So If I put a little contact and just bring the rope back slightly and she doesn't take that step back, then I'll just use my hand here to help her. So I'm not creating more tension in her body by getting into a tug of war. Good. So the next thing that I start introducing to horses once they start getting more relaxed with this is just going to start introducing the concept of sending them forward. And I'm not going to go into an actual lunge and be lunging her right now because that's going to be way too much for her. Good. So it's going to be a combination of sending and walking with her. And you can kind of see she's already gotten a little uncomfortable. Her ears keep kind of flicking back. She's had a couple of little releases. Good. Good. But I'm not chasing her away from me. I'm asking her to move out a little bit. And then I'm kind of letting her come back to me. Because again, she has a lot of fear and will quickly be the horse that runs away from you. And already kind of does a little bit because she's not sure of me. So I don't want to encourage her running away from me. And I want to build her confidence in me. Good. Good. So it's just going to be a little bit at a time. And this almost looks like I'm just leading her closer to her shoulder with a little bit of a gap between her and I. Come on. Good. Good. I know there's so many puddles, so much rain. Good girl. Good. You can see she's starting to relax a little bit. Good. And the goal as we go is to start creating a little bit of rhythm in her motion as she starts relaxing. And the rhythm herself will help her body unlock, will help her relax mentally. Good. And this will be an ongoing process. Good. Good. Good girl. Good girl. When she turns her head out away from me, I'm not going to pull on her. If she doesn't come back to me, I'm actually going to use a little energy like I did when I was trying to halter her and get her attention that way instead of pulling on her. And I'm glad she's turning towards me and trying to engage. Nothing wrong with that. But I don't want her just stopping and running into me or anything like that. So again, just create a little bit of energy. Good girl. Good. And whoa. Good. Now, I'm not going to worry that she stopped ahead of me. It's not a big deal. She didn't hit the end of the rope or anything. And even if she did, I just got her right back around to me. So, see if you'll relax down, take a step back. Good. And you can see how much tension she still has, her neck and pull and all of that. Again, it's not going to be perfect right now. She's still trying to understand the concept. Good. But everything I do, I'm going to continue encouraging that. Okay. Going to go the other way. Lily's over there being sassy. Come on. Good. You can see how confused she is on this side. So this would translate, if I was sitting on her, she'd be a balled up bundle of nerves. And anything on this right hand side, you can see is worse. And she has no motion on this right side, which is kind of important if you're trying to ride. Good. 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 So again, just creating energy. When I get a little bit of energy, I reward it. Yeah, you made me jump. Good girl. So her mama said when she sits on her, she's frozen stiff and trembling. This would be one of the reasons why. Good. If you don't have go forward on the ground, you certainly will not have it under saddle. Good. There. There. So just needed to help her unstick a little bit. So again, I'm not going to yank on her. I'm not going to hit her. Just going to create a little bit more energy to unstick her feet. And you can see how now she got moving forward just a little bit. And again, this is far from perfect or far from what it should be. Right now, I just wanted some motion. So now that she's giving me some motion, I'm going to leave her be for a second. Good. So if you were sitting on her, you have to create that much energy just to get her to take a step to the right. That is going to be an explosion. Good. Now you see how on this right hand side, she's not coming close to me at all. She's not really pulling from me, but she's not coming close to me at all. She's not bringing her head towards me. She's really kind of keeping a lot of distance. Good. Not something I'm trying to fix right now. Just something I take note. Oh, there. Very nice. Good. And I'm going to do a couple stops and starts. After we have a little bit of walking to help her relax and understand that that's what I'm looking for. about creating rhythm right now when I can't even get a consistent stop and start. Good. So, whoa, very nice. Good girl. Okay, walk. Very nice. Good girl. Good. And once this becomes a little bit more consistent, where it's easy to get her moving out, then I start paying attention to what rhythm she has. And you can see her anticipating the stop there. So I don't ever stop in the same place unless you have a super forward horse who does not like to stop. And then you use the same place to create a pattern. And once you have a pattern, then you start changing where that placement is. Good. Good. And whoa. Very nice. What a good girl. Let's walk. Come this way. And whoa. Good. Walk. So she's going to get disengaged from me a lot faster this side, like right there. She was not paying a lick of attention to me. Did not realize I was guiding her towards me, but that's okay. She bumped into the end of the line, and because I haven't been pulling on her, the second she felt the end of the line, she knew that something was wrong. So she came right back to me. And whoa. Just like that. So now that she is getting into a rhythm, she's kind of tuning me out on this right-hand side. Walk. Yep. Good. Good. So I create energy before she hits the end of the rope. Thank you. If she hits the end of the rope because she wasn't paying attention, that's on her. But I'm not hauling on the rope. She's hitting the end of it. Thank you. So this is what I do with a horse that doesn't have a whoa. If they walk on past me, there, they have to stop when they get to the end. Thank you. And if she were to keep circling, then I would do something to catch her attention. You can see she's way more comfortable with me on this left side. Good. Very nice. So right here, there, catch her attention. Good. And whoa. Very nice. And back. Good. And I'm not even going to worry about asking her to put her head down there because she's so uncomfortable with me on her right side that just taking that step back was more than enough for her. There, very nice. Very nice. Very nice. Good. And you can see that this side has a lot more drive than draw. Good. Very nice. Good girl. Good. And that's where I start with groundwork with horses. Good girl.